You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging with you guys. Well, good morning. Well, guys, today we are excited about having a guest on the show with us today. We've had so many great guest interviews the last couple of weeks. We're just recording like crazy, man, coming in hot. So many of you guys are just out there crushing it with your businesses, from lawn care to landscaping, from poop and scooping to cleaning. And, you know, quite honestly, this podcast is all about lawns, lessons, life, and, you know, small business entrepreneurship and business ownership. Well, today we've got a really good guest for you guys. I'm really excited about this because so many of you guys have access to dump trailers, and I want to kind of spin those gears about an opportunity that you guys can utilize with those dump trailers to make some extra money, maybe during the off season or while they're sitting around. So this is going to be a really cool, different kind of an episode here. So without further ado, we've got Heath Andre joining us. So Heath, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Brian. I appreciate you having me on, man. How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Well, I've said this almost on every podcast the last month. We have another rain day, so literally we have the day off. I've been running errands and working on equipment, and finally getting to the afternoon here. But it's been getting rain up over here in Michigan, man. How's things going? You're over in, where are you at again? New York, right?
Yeah, we're from upstate New York in the Lake Champlain area up here, and it's actually been a pretty dry day today. A little bit of wind and about 60 degrees out, so feeling all right for fall. Yeah.
Are you guys getting into the sweater weather? Is that what they call it?
We're almost. I mean, when you're born and bred up here, sweater weather is closer to like 45, 50, but yeah.
Yeah. I've got all these Southern boys that listen to the podcast, and if it's less than 65, 70 degrees, they're wearing the toboggan, you know? So it's, for us, if you live in the Midwest and like the Northeast, like you said, anything 40 and below, like, you know, it's, I don't know, 40s is still kind of shorts and a t-shirt weather, you know what I mean? So it's,
that's right. Good working weather.
I know, dude. So we had our live event last couple of years in November, and it's like, you know, 40, 50 degrees, or gosh, I think it was like 30 or 40 degrees. And everybody who's local was like, man, perfect weather today, you know, like sunny, but 40 degrees. And then all these guys from the South are like, dude, it's like, you know, death out here with happy feet running around. And I'm like, actually, this is like pretty mild this time of year. You know what I'm saying? So, but
yeah, this is nice. We like this.
I love it. Well, let's do this really quick. We've got a lot to talk about. I want to, if we can, just really quick, maybe just give us a 2-minute like highlight reel about who you are, your background, what your business is, and the name. And then we're going to hear a little bit more about your story, because there's a lot of opportunity here for guys listening in to maybe develop a secondary, source of income and revenue here. So give us a 2-minute highlights reel of your story, man. What do you got going on?
Yeah, definitely. So back in 2018 is when I originally came up with the crazy idea that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was actually working for corrections, a law enforcement agency here in New York. And there was a guy that had a little garbage business situation. So I talked to him a little bit one night, and 2 weeks later was doing my own thing. I actually purchased a small route from him. It was about 50 accounts, and grew that into just about 2.5 years later, a little over 600 accounts.
Wow.
That was the residential side of the business, and pretty much left the corrections job, did the side hustle still, and went back to my old sales job. So I'm 27 years old. When I was 20, graduated from just a community college, went to school for business, and became like automatically a sales director at a company I've been working at since I was 16. Okay. Started sweeping the floors. They basically said, go to college, learn a little bit about business. We'll bring you back, and you can manage guys that are selling tractors. And I used to sell Ferris, used to sell Husqvarna, all that stuff. Yeah. Back in the day. And that's what I did. I flew around the country to trade shows and met people, and it was really cool experience. But something just told me I wanted to do my own thing. And up in our area, between the time I was 20 and then the time I was 22, in our area, corrections is a big deal. Everyone's supposed to go in, right? You get the benefits, you get the retirement plan, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And, you know, a sales director, I didn't really, know about making my own retirement at that young of an age. So I went into corrections, but then had the luxury of starting the side hustle and actually going back as a part-time sales manager, if you will. I wasn't the director role, and was able to grow my business. So it's kind of a really odd story. And I talk about this on my YouTube channel now quite a bit. And the leap into full-time entrepreneur actually happened last year, like peak COVID in March.
Yeah.
I left and did the business for a year. So it's about a year and a half to 2 years I've been doing this full time, and this year we'll do about 400,000 in revenue with one employee.
Wow, that's all, dude. There's so much to unpackage there. So, first off, thanks for sharing all that. That's really, really exciting. I'm exciting. I'm pumped for you. We actually got to know each other. I think we've done at least one coaching call. Have we done one or two? I don't. It's hard to keep up, but I know we did at least one, right?
Yeah. So the first coaching call we did, I think I was actually straight up asking you about YouTube.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
The second one was about life. So I did not talk to you anything about landscaping. So guys, if you're out there and just need a good dude to talk to, Brian gave me good advice on both.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like I'll be honest with you. I think half of our coaching calls are X's and O's, and the other half are just spitball life, like family, business. How do you manage it all? Like, personal hangups, and not that I'm throwing you guys on the couch and cracking open the egg here, but it is really good to just kind of spitball and soundboard with people, because I mean, honestly, half the time I'm doing a coaching call with somebody. There's many people that are mentors in my life. I'm not like, dude, what business move do I need to do necessarily? Although sometimes I do ask those questions, but it's more like, hey, like, how did you get from here to there? Like how do I, go across this gap or the minefield, right? And so I heard a guy say once, if you're going to go through a minefield, do you want to be first or do you want to be last? And I'm like, well, and me being the smart aleck, I say, well, I want to be the guy that makes it through, because there's no guarantee that the last guy made it through, right? So
no doubt.
I say, if you see the sand footprints, stop, then that might be a red flag to hang tight, But no, so we've got to know each other quite a bit, and it's really cool. We've have dozens and dozens of text messages back and forth too. Well, so many of you guys listening in. Here's the deal. You guys are busy, entrepreneurs and lawn and landscape business owners, and, majority of you guys listening to the show. But so many of you guys have a side hustle, whether it's, making hats and embroidery, or, putting leather patches on a hat. You have a YouTube channel. I don't know. You have some, intellectual property or a patent. I know some of you guys are designing things behind the scenes, and we've had folks on that are lawn landscapers, but they also have gotten into the service industry with Verbos and Airbnbs, because instead of just doing the lawn care and mowing the lawn for a Verbo, they're like, hey, like, I'll clean the place and I'll take on. And so instead of having 100 lawn maintenance clients, I have 25 full service lawn, landscape, and then they clean the houses. And so less is more, and they're doing that too. So it is really, really cool, hearing all the different, stories that you guys have. And like Heath was saying, he's got dumpster rentals with dump trailers, and, we'll go into the whole story here. But for some of you guys, here's the point of the conversation, is just to get your brain firing. And, even if you don't have a dump trailer, maybe one day you've been thinking about how to get a dump trailer that's, 8, 10, 12 grand. You're only going to use it, 60, 70 days out of the 180 days we get. And you're thinking, like, how do I keep this thing moving? Well, this might be a potential opportunity to bridge the gap, to make the payments or make some money on the piece of equipment. A, it gets it for you and your business, but then B, helps you break even on the payments or even make a little bit of money off it. So we're going to go into Heath's story a little bit here. We're going to hear a little bit more about what he's got going on and how he's able to build this just boom in business, almost 400 grand, like you said, in revenue in less than 24, maybe 36 months. That's an incredible story to tell. So here's what we're going to do really quick, guys. We're going to get a sip of water. We have this is the good old fashioned Mexican Coke, the glass bottle Coke. These are one of my favorites. We got Chipotle for lunch, so I've been just kind of sipping on this, nursing, as my friend Caleb Allman would say. So let's do this really quick. We're going to hear from today's show sponsors, and then we're going to come right on back and hear a little bit more from Heath Andre.
Speaking of Caleb, he will be the guest on Friday's show as he and Brian spend a little time unpacking the highlights of LAL 21. The first part of their recording's going to be heard over on the Kid Contractor podcast, and then you'll come here for part 2 on Friday's Fullerton Unfiltered. Here's some details on our big Black Friday and Christmas specials on Brian's training courses and products. First, the whole ball of wax. That's going to be 20% off starting Black Friday, and that sale runs right through Christmas Eve. Now, the whole ball of wax includes everything on LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com on the site, except for the contracts and postcard designs. Now, remember, the whole ball of wax, it's a tremendous value at over $3,000, and it keeps growing because you get lifetime updates and access to all the new programs when they come online. The cost? Regularly $9.99, but with the promo code ALLIN20, starting on Black Friday, yours for $7.99. Now, say you just want to pick up some items a la carte style, you can use the promo code MOTIVATION, that's M-O-W, motivation, and save 20%. That window, though, it's limited, Black Friday through Cyber Monday. So get the best deals of the year starting Friday, November the 26th. The link and the promo codes, I'm going to put those in the description for you.
All right, Heath, we are going right back to you, brother. So let's talk about this business startup story. So you were working the corporate job, and then, so did you have dump trailers before, or what made you get into like the sanitation business and deciding to, did you have a dump trailer? Did you go out and buy a couple? What's that whole startup story look like?
Yeah. So from the get-go, when I actually started the sanitation company, when I bought that initial route, which, you couldn't even really consider it a route. It was not, you talk a lot about route density. I listen to your videos on YouTube and watch them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in garbage.
Okay.
And in the sanitation industry with residential houses, you want as many houses on each street as you can, especially where I'm from. It's very rural. We don't have a city. Our total population within 50 miles is about 70,000 people.
Wow.
So it's very rural. And the city itself, if you call it a city, which is more like a town, has about 18,000 people.
Wow.
We like to focus major, like a lot of density on just that. And we don't go outside of a certain parameter anymore, which in the beginning I did. So in the beginning, this 50, I like to call it like, I really should only had like 15 of those 50. The rest of them were just, I was driving around making no money, but it was revenue coming in, right?
Sure.
I purchased a 2001 F450 diesel dump truck. I mean, this thing was like 200,000 miles on it, absolute piece of junk, really rusty. And purchased that with the quote unquote route that I bought. I think I bought everything together for like $9,000 back then.
Okay.
And the route was maybe doing $1,000 a month in revenue or something. And I knew nothing about business. So nothing at all.
Let me time out really quick. When you say you bought the business and the route, what does a route look like for a dumpster rental or sanitation company? What does that mean for what was the route?
So it's not, and the only reason I'm saying I bought the route is because if you guys watch the YouTube channel, which I'll get into how that grew quite a bit in the last year, I say that because it's not very common to do what I did.
Okay.
Like normally you would direct mail people, like knowing what I know now, that was a really dumb way to spend that money.
Okay.
I basically bought a list of names, nothing more. There was no garbage cans included. There was no business model included. There was no, KPIs. There was not a business. It was not a business.
Okay.
All it was a list of names with a truck. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So buy it. And thank goodness it worked for a while, but then the truck blew up and it was going to cost me more money to fix it than I could just sell it and recoup some of my money. And that's what I did. And that's where the dump trailer came in.
Okay.
So that's why I got to the first dump trailer and built big old tall sides on it, 6 foot something interior height in this thing. It was a 7x12. I actually still have it. I'm about to sell it because it's falling apart, but
sure.
The thing's got hundreds of thousands of miles on it because I used to rent it out as a dumpster, use it as a dump trailer for my to do clean outs, to like clean out garages and stuff, and do the residential route. And I would literally do that whenever I could get a job.
Okay.
And we ran that truck on the road 5 days a week for like a year.
So initially, was it the dump truck as well that you guys were renting out, or was that just the dump trailers?
Nope. As soon as the dump truck blew up, which, like I said, was a couple months in, I was completely alone. I was only doing this business. The 50 were only taking me like a few hours a week to do it because I was still working the day job.
Okay.
So once that blew up, I said, okay, I think I had like a Silverado 1500 pickup truck. And I'm like, okay, I know I can, a 7x12 dump trailer is about the biggest thing that I want towed behind that. Cause garbage in that dump trailer full weighs around 2,000 pounds. So it's not like terrible,
right?
But you're stopping and going, right? It's not like you're just loading it with topsoil and going to the job site. You're like stopping and going 50 times when it's loaded, if that makes sense, throughout the day. So got that dump trailer and eventually the stops, I started to advertise and the stops started to grow, and it came to the point where I had to step back from 4 days a week, which is what I came back to my old job doing, was 4 days a week down to 3 days a week. And when it was 3 days a week, around that time, I had like 125 customers. And that's when I said, okay, this is a full 8-hour day of customers. It's a little more dense. And I think I should get a 2,500. I think I should trade the 1,500 for the 2,500.
Okay.
And then I ran that 2,500 dump trailer combination all the way up until I think I had like 500 accounts.
Wow. Now, let me ask you this. When you have, let's say, an account or these stops, you're doing 50 stops. I don't know if that was a day or a week. Is that like like, for example, my mom is cleaning out a house and a lady's house, and there's a whole story here, but lady had a bunch of like rubbish. And so, like the good old like 1-800 or whatever, 888 got junk guys. Is that, so, people call you up, say, hey, I got a sofa or an old armoire, and then they call you and you guys come grab it? Or what was those stops looking like?
So the stops are residential. The stops are weekly garbage cans. Like I started year 2, I started providing the 96-gallon, roll it out to the curb. We come by and throw it in the trailer. That's what I was doing.
Okay.
Which again, if your guys are listening to this, some parts of the country, I state this almost in every video I talk about this now. You cannot do this if you have a waste management or a public services with a contract on lockdown.
Okay.
So I know a lot of you guys are into landscaping, but I don't want to mislead anybody. It's only certain parts of the country where this works. I coached a lot of people into getting these businesses started in towns like mine, but a big city like New York City, you can never do this. You can never do this in Chicago, like a big city. You're not going to be able to do this the way I did it. You'd have to only do it in the suburban areas.
No.
Just to make that clear. But the dump trailer rentals, which I think everyone wants to hear about.
Yeah.
You should be able to do that realistically anywhere in the country, like because as long as there's not like some sort of city permit, like, how would you say this? Like as long as there's not anything illegal saying that a trailer with wheels on it is parked overnight in a certain area in a city, if that makes sense. As long as you're not going into those kind of conflictions, you should be able to rent out your 6x10, 7x12, even your 5x8, your 7x14 dump trailer for, and this is where it gets cool, a minimum of a couple $100 a weekend.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I mean, keep it going. Give us the sauce. So how many trailers you got now? Like what's a standard week look like for you guys in the business? And you're welcome to talk numbers as transparent as you want to be or not, whatever. I know it's your business, but we don't want to give away the sauce if you don't want to, but at the same point, if you got some numbers or some ideas that can help these guys out, like what's something fair to rent out their dump trailer if they want to, park it at somebody's house for the weekend,
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to come down to dump fees in your area. I now have roll-off dumpsters, and I actually just 2 weeks ago just picked up my new 2022 F600 hook lift truck. Wow. We are going heavy into dumpsters next year. We have 10 being built right now, dumpsters. Now, I have a roll-off dumpster trailer right now.
Okay.
I only had one dump trailer, but then my other dump trailer is a PJ Rollster, which is like a 7x14 dumpster that you can roll off of the thing. And you guys get, either way, if you're a landscaper, you probably only have one dump trailer or two. You can rent those just the same as a dumpster. I just liked the dumpster model because each dumpster back before steel went crazy was like just under $4,000, and I had 7 of them. And I had one trailer doing all the work. So the one trailer, I had to maintain 4 tires, not 16 or however many you'd have.
Right.
And that's why I went with a roll-off trailer. But for a landscaper, if you're doing this as a side hustle, dump trailer is totally fine. And you want to check the dump fees in your area. And basically you want to try to pocket $130 to $150 for a weekend rental after the dump fees is fair for a dump trailer.
So what's the standard rate? What would somebody have to charge to maybe make those numbers and some decent margin? So like maybe $250 to $300. So let's say they've got a 5x8 by 6 feet tall dump trailer. And I don't know the yardage of that. Let's say it's a 10 yards or 15 yards. I don't know. But,
sure.
but let's say they have a local dump place. Now, like compost dump sites, guys, are going to be different than, like real trash or like a scrap yard, right? So,
sure.
So what should people be thinking for a top line charging number to make that $150, $200 to, rent that unit out for the day or for the weekend?
It's going to basically be, so in my area, and this stuff's all over online, guys. So, it's pretty much an industry standard is you're going to be gross charge is going to be $280 to about $400.
Okay.
Depending on what you want to include, right? So you can include 1 ton of debris. You can include no debris, which the danger with no debris is, and how we do it and how a lot of companies do it is, okay, it's like, for example, our 15-yard dumpster is $319 for the weekend. That gets you a Friday to Monday rental, and you're going to get 1 ton of debris included.
Wow.
We do that because we know typically the 1 ton, that unless you're doing like shingles or sheetrock or something heavy, you're going to be right around that 1 ton, if not under, and we get that payment up front. So you're never actually waiting for money unless someone like dips you and puts like concrete in it, which I have not had that happen, and we put no concrete right on our paperwork.
Okay.
But that's something to be careful of, like, guys. So when you say, like, you hear like 150, if your dump fee is only say your dump fee is 50, which is pretty low, but let's just say your dump fee is 50, right? And you're going to have your fuel is going to be 25. And then if you're going to put a man in the truck, I always do all my numbers off a $20 an hour person, whether I'm doing it myself or not, just to be safe. And that's where you get up to that number of, okay, am I 275? Am I got to be 315? And then you kind of just tweak your prices to that.
Okay. So if we're renting this thing out for, $300 or $250 for the weekend, and, it's costing me 50 to 100 to dump and a little bit of time and labor. Maybe we're not using it on a landscape job. Maybe we're out of mulch season. We're in like the summer lull, right? Like, we're all using these things like crazy through June, July, and then we're not using them, for spring cleanups. Obviously, at that time, we're not using them for fall cleanups. But a lot of people are moving, and they're from apartments to houses. They're doing the whole summer shuffle once the kids get out of school. So there might be an opportunity to zip these things around town now. That's actually pretty cool, because if you can rent these out for $300 and you have 150 into it, you can make $150 a day, or build your own business model around it. But $150 per every Friday or Saturday, rental. Maybe you can rent it out for a day or two per week. That's 6-8 different rentals per month. Even if it was just 4 rentals per month, that's between $500 and $800 profit. I'm just thinking out loud. Does that sound about right? If somebody wants to rent one of these out, they can make $500 to $1,000 extra. That totally takes care of the monthly payment on that dump trailer.
Yeah, I mean, the way I like to sell it to guys that call me that are landscapers or that are doing something else is I say, okay, rent it once a week, pay your truck payment and your trailer payment for the month, as long as you're not driving like a Platinum F350 diesel or something.
Sure,
but,
sure.
You know what I mean? If you're driving a normal truck, like a normal $50,000-$60,000 truck, and you finance it normally, then yeah, if you rent this dump trailer out once a week, all year round, your payment is covered, basically.
Man, that's awesome. Because, you could use it during the week for all your landscaping, Monday through Friday, and then have it at somebody's site or house, I should say, like, Friday morning at 8 or 9 or 10 a.m. after you're done with your landscaping for the week.
That's honestly, even being in the business, because of our niche, like we are in the residential / light contractor niche. For example, I'm looking at my calendar right here. We did 4 rentals between Monday and Wednesday this week, and then we did 7 between yesterday and today.
Wow!
So,
okay,
like we're like backloading the week every week, because like normally, like our niche market is homeowners, which are working during the week. So we did like a restoration job with a guy in the beginning of the week who was tearing out a house, and then the rest of these were all just residential people, just like cleaning up before winter.
Wow. Right. So there's an opportunity to rent it out Monday through Friday. You could be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday only business. I mean, it would be kind of cool. You could, maybe you got a 6x10 or 6x12 sure track dump trailer, whatever, with the high sides. And you rent it out for $350 for the weekend from Friday to Sunday. Monday morning, you hit up the local dump and you're dumping that thing at 7 or 8 a.m. And then you go right down to site 1 and load up on 10 yards of mulch and go do your landscaping work. Something like that. Is that what you're thinking?
100%. That is exactly how you would utilize this thing to its fullest capabilities. And honestly, like, you might not want to ever get more than that if you're a landscaper.
Right.
Be happy with that, because that piece of equipment, like the other thing about, not to shift gears completely, but the only reason I've been able to build a business this fast to this point, not that it's a lot, but with 1 employee, it's kind of a lot, is optimization of equipment.
Okay.
Like, I do not like a truck only being able to be used for one thing. Like my 5,500 dump truck is a box truck that we haul the residential accounts in now. It's got a recycling bin in the front and the box in the back for the trash. That is our junk removal truck for big clean outs as well.
Wow.
So we double use it, right?
That's efficient. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. That just screams efficiency. In fact, here's one thing I'll say, guys. You might have heard me say this on a podcast before. My friend Mike Bedell, he like said something to me once, and it just kind of stuck with me. I was trying to buy something, and he goes, "Well, who's going to pay for that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean who's going to pay for that? I'm going to pay for that." He goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "You're not using it. Why would you be paying for it?" And I'm like, pray tell, what do you mean? So he educated me, and it was just like this off the cuff comment. It wasn't this like, esoteric, like, thought process, young Jedi stuff. Okay. It was just, he just said, look, anytime my company is buying something, my customers are paying for it. And I'm like, oh, right. I'm like, that's kind of true. So he goes, if I want a truck and it's a $700 a month payment, he goes, I'm not trying to figure out how to make a $700 a month payment. I'm trying to figure out how to get enough work and make my customers pay for it. He goes, my customers pay for everything I have. I'm like, that's a fantastic way to look at something. And so let me piggyback that on with like a skid steer, right? A lot of you guys want a skid steer and you're like, man, it's $500 to $1,000 a month. I mean, let's be honest, it's $800 to $1,200 a month. And I don't own a skid steer. I don't need a skid steer. If I might buy something like that or a tractor just for my property one day to like go make racetracks in the back. I don't know. It'd be a totally stupid purchase and a slush fund for the business. But let's say honestly, you guys are trying to figure out a skid steer, and it's $60,000 and it's $1,000 a month or whatever. And you're like, look, I can keep this thing working, for the 6 to 7 months, 8 months of the spring and summer season. Now, here's the thing. It's going to be hard to pony up $1,000 a month for that payment, maybe, in the off season in the winter. Well, here's the deal. If you guys live in the Midwest, there's everybody I know near me or by me that has a skid steer puts it to work for snow. Whether they use it for snow or not, they can sub it out to a bigger company and subcontract out that piece of equipment. They turn it into a rental unit, maybe with a larger company that can take care of it, or a good buddy. And I have a friend of mine named Sean. He rents his out for I think like $750 a month flat. And he does brick pavers and patios. But that season's only 7-8 months long, maybe here in Michigan. And so he was smart enough and wise enough to know that instead of him paying for the payment in the winter, he, subs it out to another company. I would imagine they put a push box on it, and they're doing condos with the skid steer. So my point for saying all that is to piggyback off of what Heath is saying. Let's say you have a dump trailer and you're only using it for, like I said, 30% of the working days per year, but it could really help alleviate some bottlenecks. Maybe consider, renting it out. And you don't have to go like full blast, put it in the yellow pages and start a whole sanitation company. Maybe you can loan it out to, people people you trust and certain friends, and keep it in a residential setting and not like at the back of some commercial strip mall that's, getting blown out and turned into a Jimmy John's and they're going to abuse it, right? Like that's up to you. Obviously you want to keep your equipment looking as nice as possible. So anyway, these are some great ideas for talking about dump trailers and extra pieces of equipment. Heath, what else you got for us, brother? Because this is you getting me all fired up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, I know we're into the residential trash. That's my biggest moneymaker, and I love the fact that it's the recurring income, right? It's just like every month it's the same amount, if not more, as we grow it. But the dumpsters are the most fun part of the business, in my opinion, because it's the least amount of physical work, and it's really like satisfying to see someone smile when all their junk literally goes away. But we're getting more into the junk removal thing, which this might go. I mean, you guys probably do a lot of this already with like brush and stuff like that for your fall cleanups and spring cleanups with everything. Mm-hmm. But just the removal business in general, like how much money you can actually make with a dump trailer is pretty amazing. And it's like just finding those other uses. Like my hook lift truck, we're going to start delivering mulch and small loads of stone next spring. We're getting a body custom made for it because the 22,000 GVWR truck. So we're really excited to be able to do that. I'm hooked up with a couple guys that do pavers and mulch jobs up here, that they are sending their employee to go do this when their employee should be, with the lack of work, workers in the country right now, their employees should be actually doing the work on the job site.
Right. Right.
And have our truck at the rate that our truck is being ran, and that's another thing, is just educating customers on using you for as many things as they can, as long as it falls within your insurance barriers. You know, you don't want to be putting a roof on one day and then mowing the grass the next day, unless you have a business model big enough to do that. But, you know, a dump trailer, for the most part, your insurance is going to cover what you're doing with it. So being able to, you know, just take that money. And the other thing is, you know, by renting it out, this could be a step for the guy that wants the dump trailer, right? Right now, he's running the 1500 with the open deck landscape trailer, and he really wants that new 2500 truck, but he's like, man, I don't really have enough lawns yet. But if I could just have 20 lawns and do 6 rentals of this thing a month, now I can justify the dump trailer and the truck at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely,
just really like leveling up, and that's all I've done is when I get a new piece of equipment, I try to pay stuff off as fast as I can and get equity in it, and then trade it in for a better thing as soon as I can. And I've just done that over and over the last couple of years.
That's huge. That's huge. Well, one thing I was going to say is I know that my friend Mike, for example, he's got, I think it was one of his older trucks. It was a 450 or a 550, his stake dump. And I think it was like a 12-yard capacity, like the big Monroe, you know, dump body that was hanging on the back. And I remember him on Instagram one day. This is, you know, 3 years ago now at least, but he had a picnic table. I think it was a picnic table. But like one of his customers was like, hey, I got this picnic table. I don't want it here. Can you get rid of it? And Mike's like, absolutely. And I think he took it to the scrapyard, which he probably got $50 or $100 or whatever, right? But then he charged the customer like $100, $200 to get rid of it. And time is money for our clients. And so they're like, hey, $100 and you can make this thing disappear. Like Mike was already coming probably back from a landscape job or mowing the grass. He's like, yeah, if you help me load it into the dump, I'll go take it to the dump, make $50 and charge him $100. So dude, he made $100, $150, $200, let's say, with his dump truck, just throwing whatever it was, a piece of or a picnic table. And it's like such a little thing, but there's opportunity all around you. That's what I love about the podcast. We just get other folks on with the Verbos to the sanitation, you know, dumpster rentals. It's just trying to help you guys have your synapses fire a little bit to think outside the box, right? And so talking about the dump trailers, one other thing I really like about the business model is what you said earlier about creating some passive income with it, because they're like little 7 to 10, 20 dumpsters that you got running around. They're like little employees that don't, you know, show up late. They're not drunk. They don't get anybody pregnant over the weekend, you know, like they can just
100%.
They can sit there, they can make you money. And then all you got to do is have the little logistical circus of making sure that everything's dumped and repositioned. And so you just have to be good on the phone and good on your calendar, I would imagine, and just play that logistical ballet. But I love what you said about, is that kind of how it's been working for you, or what's your thoughts on that?
100%, man. That's how we started with one dumpster back in August of 2019. I bought my roll-off trailer in one container.
Okay.
And built it up to the 7. And basically they all paid for themselves to be bought outright. I didn't have to finance any of them, and they just paid themselves off as I grew it. Now, don't get me wrong, I had the residential route as well. It's not like it was just that, right? So I was just, you know, pouring it in and got these assets paid off. And then I'm literally selling all of them, because the only crappy thing with a PJ, for any of you guys that might be so intrigued about this that you go and look at a roll-off trailer, is the PJ dumpsters only work on PJ and Max D roll-off trailers. They do not work with hook lift trucks. You cannot modify them. The steel is not strong enough to put a hook on them. So just know that, buyer beware. Me being young, dumb, and crazy, just was like, hey, I got a PJ dealer local, and you have a trailer in stock that a guy didn't buy. That's literally how it happened.
Okay.
I was down in Connecticut. I was actually at the Boss Snowplow regional event at Foxwoods Casino back in 19 with my rep and everybody, and we're all down there placing the orders. And driving down, I just happened to look over and see dumpster in Vermont. There's another dumpster in Vermont. That's weird. There's a dumpster down here. I'm like, I'm doing residential trash. I'm working 3-4 days a week, traveling around doing this sales thing. I'm like, I wonder if I get these dumpsters. I literally called the PJ dealer on my way home, and truth be told, he goes, Heath, I got about 4 of these containers here. A guy backed out on a bumper pull version of this trailer, and we'll go into why I like bumper pull over gooseneck really quick in a second. But he goes, He goes, this is the price of it. I said, okay. I said, I can only afford to finance the trailer and buy the one dumpster in cash. That's all I want to do. And literally that guy and I did a great business relationship at the PJ dealer from there till now.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of crap lucky. And now it's so funny that, after talking to you, Brian, I started the YouTube. It was exactly a year ago today. I got the monetization status. And I've got about 13,500 subscribers now.
Wow.
So
that's awesome, dude.
It's all about just from your help of just giving the people legitimate advice and explaining how anybody can do this. It doesn't take anybody special.
Yeah.
But just really doing research on what you want to do. And that's what built it into what it is today. And that's why now, like I was getting at, I'm selling all of the stuff that's paid off to then invest in all of these hook lift dumpsters, basically.
Wow.
So,
that's awesome. I'm really fired up for you, man. That is really, really cool. And you're just getting started with the YouTube channel. You're 1 year into this. You didn't know anything about YouTube, right? You were like, hey, how do I tag and title and thumb? And I'm like, well, so we worked, we worked through some of that. And you were like, do you edit these videos? I go, yeah. And you're like, can I hire somebody to edit them? So I don't know. Are you editing your own videos? Or do you have somebody that helps you out? Or maybe what's that look like behind the scenes?
So I am doing it all myself. I just figured out the YouTube shelf thing. That should be live tomorrow morning because you design the products and do the little review status thing.
Yeah.
And so that's the merchandise thing. I'm trying to make sure that all looks legit. I'm like a real perfectionist person. So if it doesn't look perfect and it goes live, I get anxiety about it. But from the editing standpoint, I'm not that much of a perfectionist, just on the brand, the way our brand looks on everything. I like it to be perfect. But
that's
editing,
awesome.
I do it in iMovie. I'm a real simple dude. I'm not tech savvy, but it works. And I just give real information. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the fancy music. I don't have any of the cool things that you guys do, but I give them real info. We go in the field. I show them real stuff and talk about real numbers and explain real things. And people, I guess, seem to like it a little bit.
That's awesome. And here's the deal, guys. You guys know I run my lawn landscape business. We have the YouTube thing. I literally just do the YouTube thing nights and weekends, guys. We treat it serious, but not too serious. I don't try to make it my life. I have posted less, over the years than you guys might imagine, only 2 or 3 videos a week versus 4 or 5. And, but I love doing it. It's a great side hustle and, it's a lot of fun, but it's not exclusive to somebody with talent or somebody who's, pretty or can talk well or whatever. That's usually not the case with most people doing YouTube. It's almost anybody can start a YouTube channel. And I'm not trying to say YouTube's the silver bullet to, becoming a millionaire either. But here's the thing. If you have some time, you have your nights and weekends, maybe you're a single guy or, you don't have a ton of obligations. It only takes a few minutes to film whatever you're doing. Maybe you're a golf course superintendent and you want to help people manage their turf, or you're, maybe you are a landscaper, or maybe you, we were spitballing ideas when Heath and I did a coaching call a year ago. And I'm just giving him some fun ideas. What's trending, some helpful tips. Not that Heath didn't have to work for it. There's no silver bullet or magical formula I gave to Heath. I'm like, dude, it's going to take a lot of work, more work than you can imagine. You're not going to make any money for a year or two. I said later in life, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, it might turn into hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars, maybe some brand deals will show up. But it's a real business. It does take 5, 10, 20 hours a week to get these things off the ground. But there's another girl out there. She listens to the podcast. Her name's Erica Krupin with Krupin's Poopin' Scoopin', which is a awesome business name. But I just saw over the weekend, I think she hit 1,000 subscribers and then maybe 10,000 channel views or 100,000 channel views, whatever it was. And it's not a lot of money. It's only maybe, I don't know, views on YouTube. You get paid on the views. So let's say she's making 100, 200, or somebody's making 2, 3, 4, $500 a month. It's not a lot of money, but here's the thing I'd say. It is a great way to create passive income because you're like, well, I can make $500 in a day. And I will agree that you can still do things actively, but you got to, this is a whole nother story, but you got to learn to make money passively, right? We've all heard that. We've all been trying to work that angle. We've all heard every guru talk about that. Well, $500 a month passively, earning a 5 or 6% return, you'd have to have principal in the bank. What is that? Maybe $100,000, something like that, or $10,000, whatever the number is. It's a lot of money to have in the bank to earn $500 a month passively. So don't you're like, well, a YouTube channel with 10,000 subs makes $500 a month. I can make that in a day. True, but it's passive income. And 500 turns into 600, 600 turns into 700, and it can start building. And you get one rental property, you make $200. It's not a lot of money, but you get 20 rental properties, you get 20 garden hoses filling up the pool. And same thing with Heath. There's only one dump trailer. He's only making $700, $800, $1,000 a month renting this thing out. But now he's got 7, and then he'll have 17, and then he'll probably have 70 if he wants to get that big. And it's incremental growth. And Heath isn't like anybody special necessarily either. He's just adding 1 or 2 dump trailers per year, or maybe 3 one year if he's really amping things up. So Heath, you're just building this thing slow and steady, man. You're not some overnight success.
Not at all. And honestly, guys, in my opinion, and my wife is the same way. And just talking to Brian, I feel like his family is the same way. Just be an average person, put in the work every single day, and just be nice to your customers, and just give back more to people than you're taking from them, and you will grow. And it might hurt.
That's
for
awesome.
6, 8 months, 12 months. You're like, man, I'm butting my head against the wall. For example, I hope this inspires people, and I'm not saying this to be bragging, but literally last week, I've been doing this YouTube thing now for about a year, right? I said, now, which is a very short window, in my opinion, to get the amount of subscribers I have for how low, in my opinion, my videos are not like Brian's, or you watch these other YouTube guys, they got it going on. They got the edits down and everything, right? I'm just like this backwoods dude with an iPhone and a gimbal, and, but I will say this, like, I never know who books the calls. I have a Calendly link set up. People book them with their name, and I don't look up who they are. And I just, they pay the fee. We get our timing set up, and we do the phone call, right? Last week, name comes across Jordan Leggett, and he just retired from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. He's an NFL wide receiver.
Oh, wow.
Who was home, and he literally said, my wife and I are young. He's 26, 27 years old. He's played 3 or 4 seasons in the NFL. He started drafted to the Jets right out of college. I mean, not a Tom Brady, of course, but, still an NFL football wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a stud. Yep.
Calls me and wants to talk about renting out dump trailers because he loves diesel trucks, and he thinks it'd be really cool to have a small community business. He's already made his money.
Right.
The dude's set for life. He doesn't need to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
But he likes the videos and wants to have something fun to do with him and his wife and his daughter, to drive their diesel truck around and see the smiling faces when, like we talk about, these people's junk goes away. Literally.
Wow.
And that was 1 year ago today. I got the monetization. I probably started YouTube maybe a year and 3 months ago. And that's what happened last week. And that hit me completely blindsided that day. We did an eviction clean out with the sheriff's department. It was a ton of money that we made that day, but it was an absolutely atrocious situation to see how this person was living. And then boom, that happened at night.
Wow.
So that's literally how polar opposite things can happen in life. And I'm a very, like you said, very normal dude. I mean, my wife and I, we binge watch Chicago series, and we're chill people.
Yeah. Right.
And you just wake up every day and just do what you got to do. And as long as like one day it'll pay off. That could be 10 months. It could be 10 years, but just keep chasing that day. And then when you get a day like that, you kind of pat yourself on the back and be like, yep, okay, the last 3 years are really grinding. It's starting to pay off,
That's awesome. Dude, seriously, that is so cool. I'm so excited for you. You remind me of a story. Erica, the same girl that I was talking about. A lot of you guys know Erica. She actually comes to our live event, Entrepreneur Academy Live. You're like, well, it's a lawn care show, and it's all about, X's and O's. I'm like, look, dude, I don't want to say like a success conference, like Tony Robbins here style, but we're teaching you, we're teaching you life. Okay. We're going to teach you X and O's. We're teaching you guys life too. And Erica, lives an hour down the road. And so, she's local. She's a great girl. Well, she, comes to our conference because she, like you had said earlier, she saw our route density video. And by the way, you guys were like, oh, poop and scooping, man. That's, that's below me. Well, she makes $120,000 a year picking up dog shit. So for some of you guys,
that's awesome.
And she's a girl, like kicking butt, making a name, female owned business. Like I'm all about that. I'm excited for her. She's like no excuses, just kick butt girl. Right. And so some of you guys like eye roll and you're like, well, I'm not picking up dog crap until you find out that she's like killing the game, making money. It's awesome. But she same thing. She started a YouTube channel. She just wanted to document her business story, just like myself, where nobody here is trying to be a guru and, be the guy. I literally don't. I'm not that guy. I'm not trying to be that guy. You're not that guy, pal. We're just. I had to get that in there. We're just regular people. But the cool thing was, she actually did her first coaching call probably about a month ago. She shot me a text and she's like, "Hey, I've got my first coaching call tonight." I think she did it for I don't know, dude, $49 or $79 or $99. Nothing fancy, but you know what? Here's the deal. Her and her husband, young couple, they're not doing anything, 7, 8, 9 p.m., just, hanging out. And she's like, yeah, $100 in an hour. She goes, I'll make myself available for that. And so she shot me a text and she's like, hey, somebody wants to pay me for my time. She's like, I'll take the call for free. And the person was like, no, I really respect your time. I'll pay you at least $100. And she's like, okay. And so she's like, hey, I'm supposed to do this call. What do I say? I'm like, just be you, just be normal, just authentic, and answer any questions you got. I don't know, just talk to somebody, just help them out. And so anyway, it's just kind of cool because like you said earlier, Heath, you never know who's going to call or what questions they have, what problems they have. Not that the person you're calling has it all figured out either. They might be a couple steps ahead. Like Heath's, he's got 7 dumpsters or 10 dumpsters. Maybe you are looking to get your first one, or how do I go from 1 to 3, or how did you hire your first guy and keep him busy while the dumpsters aren't moving the other 30 hours a week? What do you do with that guy? If you get questions like that, pick up the phone, reach out. It's $100. This is the cheapest money you'll ever spend investing into education. I still take my friend Mike Bedell out to dinners every quarter just to pick his brain and whether it doesn't even matter how long we've been in business. I've been in business just as long as Mike. I still humble myself to say, hey, dude, teach me some things that you know. What do you got going on? What are you doing this fall? What are you doing with rates? Right. So anyway, it's just so cool to see so many of you guys out there winning. Heath, we'll probably button up right here. I got to get running a hard stop here, but where can people find you, man? Are you on Instagram or YouTube? Well, you are on YouTube. Where can people find you if they want to catch up with you and maybe ask some questions and go down the whole sanitation business, dumpster rental business? Where can they find you?
Yeah, it's Lake Champlain Sanitation, guys, on everything. That's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just Lake Champlain Sanitation.
Yeah.
And we're, if you just Google that online too for the spelling. You can find us on there. But yeah, man, I really appreciate you having me on, Brian.
Absolutely, brother. No, we super appreciate your time as well. And this is really cool. And guys, if you ever have questions, shoot us an email. If you happen to check out Heath's YouTube channel, say, hey, found your channel, Brian, heard your podcast with Brian. Great job. I don't know. It's always nice to get that feedback and hear from you guys as well. And one way you guys can always give us some feedback too is with those ratings and reviews. I had to bake that in there. So thank you guys for helping us out with that. But let's leave it right here, guys. We'll button this thing up. We super appreciate Heath being on the show and going down the whole rabbit hole with us. So many great nuggets kind of baked into this conversation. Maybe give it a re-listen in a day or two, and it might hit you again and kind of jog your brain and maybe get you thinking again. But we're gonna button up right here, Heath. Again, sincerely, thanks for taking the time to be on the show, brother. We appreciate you big time.
Guys.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, hey, guys, this is another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. We look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one.
Do you want to keep the cash flowing this winter? Head over to L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com and check out all of Brian Fullerton's new courses and powerful resources to get you cashing in on that white gold through plowing snow. The snow plowing training course is easy to understand, and you'll learn what it takes to do the job effectively and how to bid, price, and estimate snow plowing for both residential and commercial properties. L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com has 3 new resources to take the hassle and guesswork out of securing your snow removal jobs. Plus, there's eye-catching marketing materials that can help you secure new clients quickly. Ready to crush the snow game this year? Visit L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com or use the link in the podcast description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.